Well, let's get more on this now with Emilia Skermund. She's an evolutionary virologist at Oxford University. Great to talk to you today. Thanks very much for joining us. In terms of the mutations, the evidence suggests that this Kent mutation is more deadly. We heard the qualification of that by the experts at the briefing. How significant would you say that the increase is if it goes from 10 in 1,000 to 14 in 1,000?
Well, it is quite significant if we think about it like that. But I looked at the data, at the SAGE data, and it's very hard to say, really, because the evidence is quite scarce. We need to, when we look at it, we see it's based on unpublished data. So for me, it's really hard to comment on evidence which existence is only suggested, and really science by press release is not something which should happen. So I cannot really comment if it's really that much deadlier. But of course, if that evidence really points to that, yes, we should be concerned. But again, I need to stress that it's an early data. So most of early data so far changed. We remember that this particular variant first was 70% more transmissible, then it changed to 50. Right now it's 30. So it is quite possible that this data also will change when we will get more evidence, more data.
How easy is it to work out which variant, which mutation somebody has? How do you do that?
It is easy, but you need to have certain tools. So you need to have a PCR test, which can check for 3 genes. And right now, some hospitals do that, and we can see if one gene is not detected, then we can think that that's the variant of concern. But again, not all hospitals do that. And to be sure that it's this particular variant, we need to do sequencing, which takes time, takes obviously also it costs money. So not all of these samples are tested.
We know about the Kent mutation, we know about the South African mutation, the Brazilian mutation. How many mutations do you think there are out there realistically across the whole world?
That's not really mutations, but variants. So these are, right now we are using term constellations, so groups of mutations which are in one particular variant of the virus. So we have Brazilian variant, South African variant, and this UK variant. Mutations can be just single point mutations in the genome, and they can be millions of them, different ones. But in case of variants, so far from the beginning of the pandemics, we have, again, thousands of variants. Only these 3 new ones have these particular sets of mutations, which might be concerning, and they have more mutations than the previous variants.
Is there anything we can do to prevent new variants springing up?
Of course, so we should prevent infections, and that we can do with obviously masks, with lockdowns, unfortunately also trying not to meet in big groups. So most of the things which are recommended right now, but hopefully with vaccinations we will be able to stop it even more.
Is there any bright side to this? I'm wondering if the virus is changing, if it is mutating, it's doing it because it wants to keep reproducing. It's doing it to survive in essence. The fact that it's having to do that, does it suggest that we are heading it off at the pass, at least in some place and in some areas, which is perhaps causing it to mutate, or would it just do that anyway?
It will just do that anyway. That's the nature of this virus. This RNA virus mutates quite fast. And we knew that before that coronaviruses mutates fast. But that can go 2 ways. It can go towards like higher transmissibility, maybe higher mortality, but it can also go towards lower mortality because obviously most of the time, pathogens don't want to kill their hosts. But that will take time. That will take a long coevolution with these hosts. So probably we won't see that right now. It needs months or years.
OK, Emilia Skirmont, evolutionary virologist. Good to talk to you. Thank you for joining us.